From Hollywood, California, welcome to Reza Rifts with your host, Keith Reza.
Hey, JD.
Hey,
Long time no see, buddy.
yeah, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. Let's see. Did you get attacked by Jurassic Park? Is that the shirt?
Yeah, the Jurassic Park shirt. Yeah. How are you?
Nice.
How's Europe doing?
Good. Europe's amazing, man. I love it. I love
Yeah.
it. Have you
How,
been?
I've been good, man. How long have you been in Europe?
So, depending how you look at it, I started. My ex-wife is Spanish, so we used to come twice a year in the summertime, go to the Madrid and the beach, and in the wintertime we'd come for Christmas, New Year's Eve, and there's something here called Three Kings Day. Have you ever heard of it?
No, no.
Neither have I. It's bigger than Christmas here.
Oh,
It's yeah, it's January 6th, and that's when the kings actually showed up to celebrate the birth of Jesus. So it's Three Kings Day. That's when they give the biggest presents. That's when the kids get off school. So that's bigger here. It's the only country. Mexico, they celebrate a little bit, but Spain is the only one that still follows that tradition of Three Kings Day. It's actually a lot of fun.
oh, nice, man. Well,
So
I
then
was
now, 5 years.
5 years because because one minute you're in Spain, the next minute you're in Venice. So like I never could really get a hold of you. So,
Yeah, we had a place in Venice for a while. Venice is fucking amazing. No more since we got the divorce. We're still good friends, actually. And yeah, I was just in Miami. That's fucking broken. Fuck.
Whenever you travel and you go back to like, say, like if you go back to Los Angeles, do you think, this is why I left?
Yeah, I mean, so the weird thing is, I actually have not been back to Los Angeles in like 5 years because, well, I was supposed to go for a project. COVID hit, a couple of projects, and that wiped those out. And then I was going to go, and the strike hit. But most of the stuff when I'm writing, I can be anywhere in the world. And now with Zoom and everything else, most of the meetings are like this, so it's
Yeah,
great. There's some face to face that need to be, but I haven't had to be back. And I miss friends. I miss the store. I miss a few things, but no, it's
yeah.
so. I wrote there was a superhero thing I was going to do, and I didn't get around to it. But I wrote a treatment about, well, over a year before Trump left office. And what's scary is a lot of my predictions are coming true, including, I don't think it was a great prediction. I think most people figured out he ain't going to leave office. I had all that. But I predicted a civil war within 5 years, which is the end of this year. So I really hope I'm wrong.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think the like not to talk about politics, but I think no matter what, it's a bad state. You know what I mean? So I just I just wish I was Canadian. You know what I mean?
Here's the cool thing. Well, first of all, if you look into your background, there are a lot of countries now, like Italy, Spain, Portugal, that are
Yeah.
letting people in with them. They want Portugal's really good. They're letting people in, and you don't need a lot to prove. Basically, the main thing you have to prove is you don't have a serious criminal record. So there's all these European countries and even Japan apparently, but a lot of places are like, come spend your money. If you can prove you make a certain income or can make it there,
Yeah.
or and you're not a criminal, they want you in. And I think if Trump wins, I think a lot of European countries are going to open up their doors to Americans. I don't know about Canada.
Yeah, no, Canada, right when Trump won the first time, Canada said we don't want anyone.
Yeah, they built the wall.
But
So what do you been? So are you in Los Angeles? What area are you in?
yeah, I'm still in Los Angeles, and I'm still trying to be the big celebrity, but I was saying in the opening remarks how when I first started doing comedy, you were probably the first celebrity that was actually very, very nice to me. Like I remember we talked at the Ha Ha for like 3 hours, and we've exchanged emails and stuff, and we've been pen pals. But I remember you gave me so much great advice, not just as a comic, but as a screenwriter. And I just wanted to say,
Well, thank you.
like I've always cherished that day, and I've always cherished your friendship because of that. So
Well, thank you. That means a lot to me. Thank you very much.
yeah. And
And are you performing a lot? Are you writing?
oh, I'm doing fantastic at stand up, writing not so much. but but I
So
mean,
wait, so where you perform? Are you doing the Comedy Store? Are you doing?
well,
Go ahead.
right now I tour with TJ Miller, and I toured with Norm Macdonald for 9
Oh
years.
shit!
Yeah.
Oh, my God, he was so fucking. He was so good.
Yeah. So, so
Now,
yeah.
are you a made man at the store? Did Mitzi make you? No. Okay.
No.
And the new store, I hear a lot of good, a lot of bad. So I don't know what there's somewhere in between about the store. I don't. It's dysfunctional. I hear.
I feel the store kind of lost its magic when Mitzi kind of like stopped going,
Yeah, that's.
you know.
They certainly have no common sense. I'm not on. I found that I'm not on the alumni. I tried to contact the woman. It's like virtually impossible. I mean, no response, and I have all type of proof, and obviously people that can back me up. So it's like, come on, man. Because I did have a club in England go, wait, we thought you were, and I go, yeah. And they go, well, you're not on the list. I'm like, so I had to send them like some checks to show, and it's like, okay, but it's like, it's yeah, it's so where are you performing in LA? Are you doing any
Well,
regular club?
so no, LA, not really. I just do the road, like I said, with TJ, and TJ takes me as his opening act right now. So,
So when are you
that,
guys coming? When come to Madrid. It's a great
yeah.
place. They're desperate for comedy.
Do you do
English,
comedy out there?
yeah, and it's a really. Here's the thing. You know the expression, if you're the smartest person in the room, get out of the room.
Yeah.
Okay, when I'm like one of the best English speaking comedians when I'm doing it, that's a problem. I'm not, my level's not there yet. Okay. So it's you have guests, you have people that come in from out of town that are great, but within Madrid, it's a very, even the Spanish, but it's just a real, comedy is really not done well here. I've been better off when I go to like London or Glasgow or Edinburgh. Well, Miami was fun, but and I'd stopped doing it for a long 7 years or so. I started it, then things started to really go great, and Mitzi, and then me being me, I went back into writing and directing. I lost my interest, and
Yeah.
COVID is how I gained my interest again because I
Yeah.
lost so many projects. I was like, okay, but that's great. How often are you traveling now?
3 times a month. So I do
Wow, that's fucking. So wait, why do you have? What's your day job?
I work at a grocery store like during the night. So like I work Monday through Thursday,
Hey.
and then Thursday through Sunday I'm traveling.
See, this bothers me, and I'll tell you why. It's like you have a career, you're fucking good at it, you're traveling with a huge kite, and yet, you still have to have a second job, which is, as you know, many cases in the United States. When do you think you'll be able to? By the fuck. Actually, if you guys are interested in coming to Madrid, I can check with. There's a friend I have. He's an improv guy, but he has a show. It's been 19 years. It's massive, and they have a theater space. I can ask him and put him in contact with you. No promises, but who
Yeah.
knows? It could be really rewarding. Plus, once you do Madrid, it could branch out to Barcelona and all the other places. Do you guys ever go to the UK?
I've never been, but I know TJ just did a big Europe trip last year. So, I think he does one every 4 years, but he didn't take me on that one.
Well,
So,
tell that motherfucker to take you and pay you more, so you don't
yeah.
have to fucking have a day job.
Yeah, no, well, that was one of the things that like Norm actually taught me too, because like when I was with Norm told me to never quit my day job because he didn't want to be responsible for me. So in a way I feel like that was actually good advice because, fast forward years later, Norm's gone. You know what I mean? So I don't
Well, I'll give you a quick opposite advice.
know. Quit day
I
job.
remember, I remember, I never planned to be a stand-up. That was never part of my wheelhouse. It was a combination of things where I did We Married Margot and introduced a movie, and several people, including Robin Williams, started to push me to do stand-up. I don't know if you know the history, stand-up. And I fell in love with it, unfortunately. I wish I'd hated it.
Yeah.
But I remember reading about Jay Leno, who said he burnt everything when he came from Boston to LA. And in a way, that's what I did when I came to LA as a writer. I had nothing. The roomers were at $100. I think I had 1,600. I had enough
Yeah.
about a month and a half. And then I did a bunch of odd jobs. And it took a while. It was, a couple of years. But at one point, I'll never forget this. One of the odd jobs I had was interior house painting. Second worst job I ever had. Fucking hated it. The first one was on a factory line. I think I grew up pretty poor, so I had all type of odd jobs. I was on a factory line once. I quit that day. That was fuck that. But house painting, I love the exterior house painting, but interior, you're doing this for fucking 8 hours. You might as well be doing this and at least get some pleasure.
Yeah.
So I went to a place, I was never foreman. I was part of the crew. And there was a beautiful, it was like a teak oak wall, beautiful, dark oak. And they were like, okay, now paint over this. I'm like, what do you mean? What do you mean paint over this? Yeah, paint it white. I'm like, what the fuck are they prejudiced? What do you mean paint it fucking white? I'm not painting this wood white. They're like, well, that's your job. And I said, and I literally went fuck off and I threw the brush and I quit. And I went outside and I looked up at the universe. I don't believe in religion, but I do believe in energy and there's a higher being. And I basically said, fuck this shit. I didn't come out to LA to be a house painter. You know, fucking bring me somebody who can make my career happen. Motherfucker. I was struck by lightning. And this is it. But this is a true. So when I did the Edinburgh Festival, the first year, not so menace. The second year went well, but I realized I had to prep the show by saying, listen, if I'm you guys, if I was a doctor in the audience, you're going to hear my stories and you're going to say to me, okay, Jake, that's nice. Here's a sedative. We're going to put you in a room. Take care of yourself. You won't hurt anyone else. Because my stories are beyond weird, considering, even if you didn't consider how poor I grew up and in Hell's Kitchen, it's still. Anyway, I go outside 3 days later. I'll tell it the way I told it because I tell the story at the Fringe to set it up, which is why I can tell it so well. 3 days later, I am now in the room of a man so powerful, he can do things for me. Yeah. And that man was a dentist. So my dentist, do you know this story?
No, but I think it's funny that it's a dentist.
Dentist. Okay. I needed to go to a dentist, and my sister recommended this guy, and his name was Dr. Evan Chandler. And I said, sounds like a fucking soap opera name, Dr. Evan Chandler. And you fill out the paperwork, and he walks into the room, and he looks like a soap opera actor. And the first thing he does is he leans into me, and in the German accent, he goes, "Is it safe?" Now that's from Marathon Man. Okay. And it's when the dentist is going to extract teeth from what's his face without any Novocaine. So because he wants to know if he can get the diamonds. So I burst out laughing because any dentist that says that shit to me, and I don't know, I'm like, okay. Anyway, he turns out he wants to be in the movie business. Everyone wanted to be in the movie business in LA. Yeah. And I came up with the idea for Men in Tights. I told it to him. He loved it. He said, we'll pitch this guy and me. Oh, I'm sorry. He told me he wanted to be, and he told me patients he had. And one was a guy named Emil Buis who had worked for Mel Brooks in the 70s. And I latched onto that because I was always fans of Mel Brooks movies and a lot of his stuff. So I came up with Men in Tights, different title at the time. And he wanted us to pitch Emil. I said, you know what? I'm going to go write it. All my friends were like, you're fucking crazy. Right. I remember this one woman, Loretta, is like, let me get this straight. You're going to waste your time writing a script on spec. Your dentist is going to give it to some idiot who worked for Mel Brooks in the 70s, and Mel Brooks is going to read it and want to make it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the plan. Yeah.
So did it, went to Emil, I wrote the script. Evans fixed the spelling and grammar because of my dyslexia. Goes to Emil. I meet with him on a Saturday, go up to his house in the hills, and he says how much he liked the script. He says, well, you're a little crazy. Mel's a little crazy. I think this is work. I'll give it to Mel. That was Saturday. Monday, I got the phone call from Emil. Mel wants to meet with you on Wednesday, and the rest was history. But the bottom line is, in my point of view, I think it was Benjamin Franklin who said, the harder you work, the luckier you get, making your own luck. Right. I don't actually believe it's the harder you work. I believe it's the better you work. So if I hadn't quit the job, because I had no backup, I had no choice. And people were most dangerous. The Nazis were most dangerous when they were going to lose. People are most dangerous when they're put in a corner, so to speak, but in a good way as well. So, I realized something. I have done shows, seminars, and people come up to me, and at times, if I like, it's not often because schedule's busy, But I'll say to them, all right, well, that's interesting. If you want to send me your music, like recently was someone's music like 6 months ago. Sounded interesting. I said, well, if you want to send me your music, you never know, no promises, but when I have time, I'll take a look and it could be in a movie. They never
Oh,
sent. I realized something. Probably less than 1% of the people I've ever offered it to do. So most people, it's not, I always thought, oh, people don't see the opportunity. That's part of it. They don't take advantage of it. So my whole babble there was quit your day job.
well, it's interesting you said that because when we hung out that one day, you gave me the opposite advice. You said, "Feel free to send me what you've written if you feel it's good enough for me to read."
Okay.
And I've never sent it because I
No,
feel,
that's the same advice. Yeah.
okay, but because I
Yeah.
haven't sent it because like I don't want to send you shit. You know what I mean?
But yeah, but here's the thing. So that is what I say. Like I say, no promises to people. I never promise anything I don't control 100%. And
Yeah.
there's a rare amount of things. But it's no. That not. Why did you think the opposite? What
Oh,
did you mean?
oh no, because you said only send it if you think it's good enough to
Oh,
send.
well, yes. Like
Yeah.
don't say. However, if I'm guessing you're like me, everything I
I
write, I
was
think,
new though, so keep in mind I was new.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And what I realized is the better writers I know think their stuff is shit.
Yeah. That's true.
It's like, okay, so I'm working on a script I'm supposed to shoot in Spain in August, meaning going to production next month, meaning I need to finish it in a week. And I have 67 pages of it that I absolutely love. Now, I know there's a point where I'm going to hate those pages. So when I'm directing and I have to go back to how I feel.
Yeah.
But I mean, a great example was there was a movie I did and I got really lucky. I sent letters to people, and one was Frank Darabont, and he really liked, was called We Married Margot, and we ended up meeting and almost did it as a TV series at HBO. But I wanted to talk about Shawshank Redemption. And Frank said, oh, yeah, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay.
It's like the best
One
movie
of
of
the
all time.
greatest fucking movies of all time. Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, I have a tough time. There's so many movies that I love, but is it in the top 5? Yeah, I mean, it's just it's seamless, and it's okay. And he wants to talk about Margot, and I'm like, yeah, But we're talking about Shawshank Redemption, and what I realized is, I'll tell you, two filmmakers. One I used to be friends with, is a complete asshole, and I think his movies suck, and he thinks his movies are great. And another one was Friendly Lift, still Friendly Lift, but I don't think his movies are great, although technically they are. Okay, the one I think is sucked and overrated is a guy named Peter Berg.
Okay.
I don't know if you know Peter.
You
So Peter
did.
and I used to play. We had a mutual friend, and before any of us were successful, him and Steve Brill. You know who Steve Brill is?
I love Steve
Steve.
Brill, yeah.
Well, yeah,
Doc?
Steve wrote Mighty Ducks was his first. So
Yeah,
we used
Mighty
to all
Ducks.
Yeah, we used to play. My God, Steve's gambling. Holy shit! But anyway, I went to Vegas with him once. Holy fuck! A good thing he did Mighty Ducks. So it was like a group of us playing together. A guy named Peter Ferrardi who wrote Flatliners.
Okay.
It was a group of us who none of us had actually. Peter started to have success because, quite frankly, he was fucking his manager, who was big, and his best friend from college was Ari Emanuel, who wasn't that guy yet, but he was becoming that. But
Right.
anyway, Pete had had some success, but not as big. But anyway, we all played basketball together. Pete's about 6 feet, 6'1". I lie and say I'm 5'8", more like 5'7 and a half. And I'm
Yeah.
slight. Well, I used to be slightly built. So we'd go under the boards, and I give an elbow, and Pete'd be like, "There's no physical contact in basketball." I'm like, "Have you ever seen a basketball game?"
Yeah, it's all
Anyway,
physical now.
it was always physical. It's like, stop. I mean, I played basketball growing up. I wasn't good at it, but I had fun. But I'd be physical because I was most of the time the smallest guy on the court. So I had to throw some elbows. No one ever, they might say foul. I'm like, okay. But he was like bitching about it. And then he did an article once as an actor, and he said, well, I would never do a character where I rape a woman, all this stuff. And I was like, basically the opposite of the type of roles Jack Nicholson and De Niro have done. Anyway, I
Okay.
find him to be mediocre, but he thinks he's brilliant actor, brilliant writer.
Right.
The other one who thinks he's a brilliant director, and I do feel bad for him, which is going to sound strange when you hear his name, is Michael Bay.
Michael Bay. Oh my God. Yeah. I've heard of Michael Bay.
So when I first went to LA, I became friends with a guy named Brad Fuller. Brad is a huge producer now. He did the silent movies, not the silent, the horror, tons of horror movies that are massively successful. The last biggest one he did, and I think they have another release, is the one,
Oh, okay.
Quiet Place. Yeah, brilliant. I loved it. It's funny because I did not like, he did another movie that became a series of movies where you get 24 hours where you can go kill whoever you want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
Anyway,
Purge. Yeah.
The Purge, yeah, it didn't, but and we're candid with each other. But anyway, he went to college with Michael and then started a company called Platinum Do, so on and so forth. So I've seen Michael throughout the years enough. And Michael Mann, not Michael Mann, Michael Bay, just like, oh my God. I mean, he thinks everything is good. The last time I was in Brad's office was a long time, 5 years ago. And I walk into his office, he goes, "Hey, did you say hello to Michael?" I'm like, "Michael's here?" He went, "Yeah, you passed him. He's in the he was right there in the main room." I said, "Oh, I didn't recognize him. He wasn't yelling at anyone."
It wasn't saying action.
It was in the office, but usually he's yelling at people. By the way, Brad said, next time you're in Mulholland, drive by his house. And I happened to be, I did. And I'm like, I'm not impressed with houses and stuff. I mean, I look, but when I drove by, I think I was like this. It looks like a shopping mall.
Yeah.
It is like, if you ever want to just go like, what the fuck is wrong with somebody?
So I wanted to ask you because you said, like, you suffered from dyslexia, while you write. And, I'm sure, like, when you first started writing, you had a typewriter, which could have been, like, really, really hard. But do you think a computer really saved you with that, because it's, like, easier to catch the mistakes? Or do you think it's
Just want,
better to have it printed and read it?
I just want you to know, Keith just called me an old fuck. Surprised you didn't say I had a quill. Yeah, back in that day, I had a quill and I had one of those guns where you just put the gunpowder in. And
I
yeah,
said it in a nice way, though.
yeah, I said yeah, it's a backhanded compliment. He actually wanted to say you wrote on Cavestone, right? That's how you fucking started. I mean, Keith knows this. It's a secret. Jesus Christ and I were friends. I'm the one that convinced him not to be a carpenter anymore because he really wasn't very good at it. He's the one who built me the desk for my quill.
I was just saying because I think a lot of amateur, screenwriters would be interested in this because, like, they don't know what a typewriter is. That's all I was trying to say.
That's true. No, that's true. When I do stand up sometimes and there's a crowd under 30, I'll fuck around. And the one I usually use is answering machine. I'll use a bunch. And the faces are amazing. It's great. I have no fucking clue. But I love it. But look, I know history, but I never I never used a horse and a cart. Well, actually, I did. That was going back to my time with Jesus. But so typewriter, yes, at one time I did, but it was before I was actually writing. This was before. Well, actually, that's not true. And my mom said I'd always be a writer. I never thought I ever was in my wheelhouse because of the dyslexia and stuff. Yeah, but even with the computer, I became somewhat legendary for the amount of grammar and typo mistakes.
Yeah.
And this was including using spell check and having editors. But like, no way any editor's gonna, here was the problem. It wasn't just word spelling, but there, you, all that stuff. And I'll never forget, I sold a script to Paramount, and the president of Paramount wanted to have lunch, and I meet him, and he starts laughing, and he said, "Oh, I gotta tell you something that was so funny in your script. Now it's a comedy." I'm like, "Oh, this is good. What?" He said, "Pretty much every time that you meant to spell it's, you wrote tits." I hope that's not why you bought the script, because that's not going to work on screen. Now, here's what's fascinating to me. I am progressive, but I ain't woke. And maybe it's woke, or I don't know what it is. But in the past decade, I've actually had people get really mad at me at my spelling and grammar.
Yeah.
That never ever happened before. It was like, okay, the story's, great, or the character, whatever. They liked it enough to go fuck it. So now I put it just because I do have people, I have a disclaimer that says you're going to find a lot of typos and grammar mistakes. But yeah, the computer, I actually went back to I want actually I where is it? I tried to write with a quill pen at one point. I thought that would be fun. You can't see me in the audience, but you might as well cripple your hand.
Right.
And then I bought an old-fashioned typewriter, not an elect typewriter. I thought this is going to be great. No, it's the computer is a great tool, but you got to remember it's a tool. As a
Yeah.
writer in any profession, you have tools, whether you're using, I used AI only once. I was curious as a script I wrote, but I need to make changes on. Hey, I'll plug myself. It's called Knights of the Not So Round Table.
Yeah, I
And
read it. I read it.
oh yeah, okay. Well, it's changing, right? But Stan Lee. I shot the Stan Lee scene already, so Stan Lee's in it. So that's
Yeah.
I brought him back from the dead, and it ain't AI, it's Stan. But I was curious. So the new script I'm writing is called Two for the Road. It's an action comedy. That one's more of a spoof satire. But I was curious, so I put in AI. I said, okay, comedy, Robin Hood, Guinevere is a whore, Lancelot can't get his dick up. I wrote all this stuff in AI just to see. And it actually came up with one idea out of all of it. This whole story, I was like, but it came up with an idea and went, oh, okay, I can play off of that. So I think that's fair. And it's still being authentic. But yeah, the computer is a tool, and now there's all these tools, oh, you can, here's these cards, how to write a story, here's this. Go now. Put
Yeah.
all that, the best books to read are about people's journeys, like Stephen King's. You ever read Stephen King's On Writing?
No, but I've seen a lot of Stephen King films.
Okay. Now that's funny. I have not seen many Stephen King's films, but I love On Writing. It's a brilliant book. I recommend it to any writer, director, anyone. Did you like The Shining? I love The Shining. He hated The Shining.
I liked the TV show more than I liked the movie.
Okay. I haven't seen the TV show, and I know, well, I don't know, but from what I've read, he likes the TV show.
Yeah.
But
And
he hated it.
so like the movie, like for example, with The Shining, this has nothing against Jack Nicholson. I think he's great. But I feel if you have a movie where like you put all your money into the star, that could either make it a massive hit or a massive failure. And I feel with the TV show, Steven Weber's he's a great guy and all, but he's not super famous. He's just an actor. You know what I mean? So I feel you have more creative control with that.
I agree. I never thought about it. You do. You're 100% right. I mean, I love The Shining, but it's Jack Nicholson and Shelley Duvall. Is that her name? She stole the movie. She went insane. She went insane after
She's
the
totally
movie.
insane now. She lives like in a trailer park or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I read stuff on the movie and like, no shit, she went insane. I'm wondering what happened to those two twin girls. I'm like, I don't want to run into them.
We don't even know they were real actresses too. That's the crazy part. Like, did you hear about that?
Yeah, you just brought up a really good thing. If this was shot today, there's a good chance those would be AI.
Yeah, because that's like one of the big mysteries where they have an actress given credit, but they're saying like there's no record of this actress. Like
Really?
Yeah. So like I was like, that's kind of creepy. But I don't know if that's just one of those things just to make the movie sell more. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I would guess that's a brilliant marketing urban legend
Yeah.
tool, because they didn't have AI then to do it.
Yeah.
So now you could totally be like, I don't know, is it real? Is she real? Is she AI? But then it was like, there was at least one. I don't know if there were, but that's actually great marketing.
Yeah.
But
But
what I
like,
do,
that's
go ahead.
just what I feel about like when you put all your chips on a movie star compared to where you just spread it out.
That's
So,
true. And then what I've learned is in movies, when I love a movie and there's, I think, flaws in it and issues, I make excuses for them. When I don't like a movie, I don't make any excuses and I point them all out. And there's very few movies I'd say, like, what was the Tom Hanks movie? That was on his shoulder when he was lost on the desert island.
oh, was it Joe versus the volcano?
No, he had the
Castaway.
Castaway. So that's one where you're putting it all on the actor. And I really did love the movie, where the one with Leonardo DiCaprio, and I don't blame him, I just wasn't in love with the story, where he's like lost in the wilderness. I forget it. I just remember the end shot.
Yeah. The Beach, yeah.
Not The Beach. It was a different one. It was a newer one.
Oh, really?
He got, yeah, but I do remember the shot. He looks at the camera and he's like, and I was like, oh, okay.
But
you want to see a great movie that's underrated and maybe is my favorite Scorsese movies, and as a comedian, I highly recommend it if you haven't seen it or haven't seen it in a while. I rewatched it about a year ago. And it is a tour de force, although it's a lot of really great actors. Is King of Comedy.
King of Comedy.
Robert De Niro, Sandra, I forget her name, and Jerry Lewis.
King of Comedy. Because I know Robert De Niro did one recently about comedy, like The Comedian or something. Is that the same one, or is it different?
No, this is This is one of Scorsese's earlier movies. It's I think maybe the 70s, early 80s. De Niro plays a guy who wants to be a stand-up comedian, and he basically wants to get on a show that's like Johnny Carson. And it is. I watched it about a year ago. Wow, brilliant! And any comedian, watch it. You'll be like. First of all, it's a tour de force for De Niro, but everyone I mean, Jerry Lewis is amazing in it, and the whole cast. And it's a brilliant, it's a brilliant statement on the world without being him pounding you over the head with it. And it's a fun, funny, dark humor, but it's great. Highly recommend it.
I think dark humor is the best, especially Robin Williams did Death to Smoochie, and I thought that was his best movie, and everyone thinks I'm crazy. I was like,
no, but he was, it's the amount of movies that people thought people were crazy about, and then years later, the same critics that were bashing it and going, oh, it's one of the best movies of all time. It's like, yeah, okay. What, I mean, we miss things. I've seen movies where I've been like, yeah, and then I see it later and I'm like, oh, fuck, what did I miss? I've also seen plenty of movies where I was like, this is great. And then you see it later on and go, didn't hold up.
Would you say Battlefield Earth is one of those movies? Because at the time it was so banned, it was considered the worst movie in the world. But now you watch it today, I don't know. Maybe it is because it's so bad that it has some heart to it. I don't know. Like, it's one of the, you know what I mean?
So, for me, I've never seen the entire movie.
Okay, all right.
Now, any movie I usually have to go to the premiere and that's it. I'm done. I don't watch them again. Plus, I go to the screening beforehand to see things. Battlefield Earth, I didn't have the time to go to the script, but I read the script. Yeah. And by page 2, I was in my house gym working on my heavy bag going, what a piece of shit. And I actually argued I was going to take my name off the film. Now I lose my production bonus and other things. My agents and attorney were trying to talk me out of it. And then I was going to do it. And then I got a phone call from the Church of Scientology and they wanted to meet with me. And they, wanted me to take my name off the movie. Why? Because they knew I'd talk and it's plausible deniability. If my name's not on it, they can say, oh, he just did a week's work of work, which they tried to do. Oh, he just did a week's worth of work. He didn't do anything before the movie came out.
Right.
But anyway, so I said, to Miscavige and that whole knucklehead group, and they were like, they actually said to me, I never had you might never work in this town again. That was the first and only time. That was kind of cool. And then they said they knew where I lived. So I said, I grew up in Hell's Kitchen. I didn't say that. I said, well, I'd already planned to take my name off the movie. Like, oh, great. I said, but I said, now that you threaten me, we never threaten you. No, I go, I'm sure there's cameras here, here, and here. Just do the playback.
Now I'm proud of it.
Now I'm keeping it on. Now that sounds really bold at the time, but it's really fucking stupid because the way you get hired in Hollywood is it's at parties that you don't go to. It's where the executives and the main people in the studios go, and they talk about who they're hiring because they want to brag. Right. And not one motherfucker is going to go, hey, guess who I got writing my next movie? Guy wrote Battlefield Earth, huh? You'd be thrown out of the studio system forever. It was actually Stan Lee who really came to my rescue when we started working together, and that changed things. Okay, Battlefield Earth to me was always so bad, it was just fucking bad. After I saw everything but 20 minutes of the premiere, I called up Eli Samaha and I on Monday, and I said, and I meant this. I said, due to the movie, what they did to, oh my God, Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yeah.
I said, add 2 or 3 musical numbers, release it on the weekends, and make it an event. He hung up on me. But the Scientology had a line when I was involved. I had contact with them, but there was no input. Apparently, there was a huge amount of input on the on the script. I don't even want to call it a script. I don't know. Comedy Central offered to buy it for like 10 times what it was worth just to put it on Comedy Central. And Scientology wouldn't let him do it. So I think it's so bad, it's bad. I've wanted to watch it stoned or something, but I just can't watch it again. If anyone's interested, I wrote an article. If you Google my name, New York Post, Battlefield Earth, you see I talk about how it became a train wreck. I accepted the Razzie Award, which was a fun year because Sandra Bullock was there as well. It was a blast, and the audience was amazing. And I hadn't done stand-up yet, and that was really kind of me
doing stand-up.
Yeah. Like I said, Robin Williams had been trying to talk me into it, including Randy Siegel, who worked for Burlstein Gray, and Don and John Moffat. And John was a big producer who shut off, but I wasn't ready. I didn't think I wanted it. I had too much fear. The dyslexia was a big fear because I'm like, I'm just going to mess everything up. And then finally I did it. And like I said, unfortunately fell in love with it. Battlefield Earth, I would like to say is the worst movie of all time. I would. However, and this guy's a great filmmaker, but I don't know what the fuck they were thinking when they made the movie Cats. I didn't. I got about 10 minutes in, and it was very disturbing with the crotch shots.
Yeah.
I was like, is this X-rated? Because this is really, I mean, see, this is where you go collective malfunction delusionality, because you have to see the rushes.
Right.
You have to see what it's going to look like before you decide, let's do these CGI body shoots where we got pussy lips everywhere. And it's like, I'm looking at this and going, there's just no way everyone missed this.
Oh no,
someone
definitely.
Someone in the room wasn't brave enough to go, look, if we want to do a porn version of this, this is great. And again, I only watched about 15 minutes of it, but it was so disturbing. I only watched 15 minutes. It was disturbing, but I was pissed off because I think it might be worse than Battlefield Earth. And if I'm going to have the worst movie, I want it to stay that way.
Do you ever, because like I actually say this sometimes when I do stand up, where I say I feel like, let's be honest, this whole pandemic thing actually started with the movie Cats. You know?
That's a great line. Well, here's what I do. So what happened was I'm walking into the Comedy Store one day. I'd been made a paid regular, I think. I don't remember if I was in Friends and Family or paid regular. But Steve Renazizi was on stage, and I heard he was making fun of Battlefield Earth.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, this was years after it, and it was years after it had come out. Because, right, I didn't start doing stand-up until 2006. Anyway, so I wasn't sure. So he comes off stage, and I was going on like a couple after him. And I said, were you making fun of Battlefield Earth? He said, yeah. I said, oh, I said, cool. He said, why? I said, oh, well, my name's on it. He's like, oh, sorry. I go, no, you gave me an idea. So I did it, and I've done it a lot. I went on stage. I said, hey, Steve was making fun of that, and I don't need to use Steve anymore. But I say, so what I'll do is sometime be introduced to some of my other movies, and I'm like, yeah, calm down. I also wrote the worst movie ever in the history of movies, starring John Travolta and Forrest Whitaker, Battlefield Earth. Yeah. And then my line is, that's why I'm now doing this. The next guys coming to the stage are the two guys who wrote the movie Cats. Before that, it was, by the way, before Cats, it was, well, actually, it was Geely. I used Geely before Cats. But yes, I use it. But that's a great line that you have about, Cats starting COVID. You can play, that's a whole routine.
Yeah.
And you can work inside and out. Yeah.
Here's a good joke for you too. Like if you want to do stand up, you could talk about Battlefield Earth and be like, so ever since Battlefield Earth, you're welcome. I ruined John Travolta's career.
not only, well, I haven't, actually, that's a good idea. I haven't done it in stand-up, but I've been interviewed where I said, well, if you look at the trajectory of Scientology, when people would start making fun of it, the
Yeah.
only people that were really making fun of it before Battlefield Earth was Bill Maher and maybe South Park. And then afterwards, it was open season, because what happened was is they had lied to everyone. They said they had, 100 million followers worldwide, 10 million in the United States. If they had 10 million followers, okay, the movie would have done at least 80, $90 million. I
Right.
mean, I remember when I was having meetings the week before the movie on other projects, and oh, you excited about the movie coming out? I'm like, no, it's gonna suck. I read the script, and I
Yeah.
have, by the way, I've read amazing scripts that became bad movies for reasons, wrong
And
director, wrong synergy, wrong actor, too much studio interference a lot of times. I've
and,
read
and
good
vice
movies.
versa, right?
Yeah, oh yeah, that's the other. I've read good movies that become better, but I have never read a script, and I've read thousands. I never in my life read a bad script that even became a good movie.
Okay.
Just can't handle it. It's like it's the old cliche of building a building. If the foundation ain't there, there's just nothing you can throw against it. And the script for Battle for Earth, I believe I can say without bias or prejudice, was the worst piece of fucking shit I've ever read in my. Can I curse? It was the worst. It was. I mean, seriously, talk about a delusion taking over people who are going, yeah, let's make this movie. That, by the way, in my script, John Travolta was supposed to play the good guy,
Yeah.
and he switched to play the bad guy. And I think also he did kind of plausible deniability, because in all the makeup, he can kind of pretend that's not me. That's not me.
Yeah. Well,
Now,
no,
I
go ahead.
was so several years ago. I'm at the Apple store in Spain, and a guy comes up to me. I'm at the Genius Bar, not because I'm a genius, but they let me sit there. And a guy comes up to me and says, "Are you JD Shapiro?" And I went, "Yeah." I figured. I said, "Oh, you wrote Battlefield Earth." I'm like, "Huh?" So they have this festival here called CultureCon, which is a celebration of what they feel are really bad movies, but there's some good to them. So
Yeah.
I ended up doing the festival, which was actually, it was a lot of fun. I wish I had stayed. It spilled over. I'm proud to say it was COVID, so they were only expecting not many
Much.
people. They actually had it packed theater and had to put in another theater. So I introduced in one, went to the other, and then I left, because they're like, "You're going to stay?" I'm going, "No." But I went in at the end and watched about the last 10 minutes, and they shout at the screen in a fun way, like anytime a character sneezed because it was COVID, or silly things. I actually wish I'd stayed to watch it. But there are people out there who have this love, because every once in a while someone will go, "Oh, Battlefield Earth," and my line used to be, "That's none of it's mine." I
Right.
got writing credit because I was original writer, and now I just go, "Oh, okay, thank you," because I don't want to make them feel bad when I'm like, "What? That's shit."
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think, like I said, I think it's one of those cult classic things, and you could take that as good or bad. You know what I mean?
It's one of those weird things, is that saying, all publicity is good publicity. Not really, if you're going to look at the Me Too movement. However, it's one of those weird things. There are so many bad movies out there, and many that I've been involved with as a creative consultant or writer, some that people know about. I have to sign NDAs on others. But somehow, yes, my name has to be attached to a movie that has some type of urban legends to it, that people know it. I mean, I can talk about other movies that I've been involved with that were massive hits that got Oscar nominations or even awards, and people are like, yeah.
Battlefield Earth, huh?
The Battlefield Earth is like, oh,
uh, so I have two more questions for you. One, I wanted to ask you, what's the difference between writing a script and a book? Because I know you just wrote a book, and I want to know,
okay,
like, how'd your mind
yeah,
like
that's a
set
great
to that?
question. So in the book I wrote a while ago, but also because Stan Lee and I were creative partners for almost 15 years. So comic books, which is even different than, okay, here's the thing about a script. It's very limited in a way, which is why I'm really liking a lot of TV series. You can't explore characters as much. The script really, to me, most solid scripts, I don't like to give it time, because 10 seconds can feel like, days. And, you can sit down and watch something that's 5 hours and it goes by like this. But typically for comedy, an hour and a half typically for a movie, 2 hours. You can go longer. So you're contained. You can't really explore the I love characters. So you can't get into the depths of the characters the way you can in a book. In a book, you can just, you know, like in Lord of, example of one that became a movie. Actually, I use Harry Potter because I think Harry Potter did a really great job. So as a movie, but it still couldn't explore all the things in a book. If you filmed a book, you're filming 10 hours worth of stuff. Also, a book, what's great is, as strong as my imagination is when I'm creating the characters and the situations, you get to use your imagination. And knowing that, it's just more powerful. But mainly, I get to really go more in depth into the characters and the story, and I don't have to worry about I need to deliver 110 pages. I can write something that's a novella that works. So I can write War and Peace, and it's fun. It's a lot more fun. It's less disciplined in a way, but also it makes it more difficult because you have so many more choices. When I'm writing a book or a graphic novel or comic book, the choices are endless in what I can use. It's the same in a screenplay, but I know I have to limit them down because I can't. I can't tell the story in so many hours. You're just going to bore the audience no matter what. Oh, okay. Here's another example. I just finished writing a satire on Franco. Okay. Originally, it was going to be a movie. And as I usually, when I write, I do very little research, and I write the first, what I call words on paper draft, and then I go back and do research. But I realized about 10 pages in, this is Spanish history, even though I'm totally satirizing it. The best satire is you need the foundation of the truth. So I had like, oh my God, 200 and something pages, and I'm killing myself. Like, how am I going to cut all this stuff? Great. And then it hit me. Oh, fuck. It's a limited TV series. It's 6 episodes. Yeah. So what that allowed me to do was almost like a book. I could explore the characters and the time period and the situation and really go for it. So that's the biggest difference, is how much more in depth you can get with the characters and the story in a book or comic book even than you can in a movie. Movie, it's hit and run, which is great. I love it. But a book, you can allow the audience to digest it. Yeah.
Take a couple more. Yeah. I get that. Yeah. And then
you can add characters that you wouldn't necessarily put in a movie. You also can stick to a different time frame. Have you seen 3 Body Problem?
No.
Fantastic TV series. I've not read the book. It was a massively award-winning book. I want to read it. But my friend who read the book and saw the Chinese version, which the first episode is like, 30 something hours, they go by the book. This is very limited, but for me, it worked. They combined the first, second, and third book. There's going to be a sequel. So somehow the producers, and it might be the same producers of Game of Thrones, I'm not sure. They understood, but I know when I read the book, I'm going to see characters in different ways than I do in the movie.
Yeah. Speaking, before I ask the last question, but speaking of Game of Thrones, that's that one TV show where everybody loved it, and you watch one episode and you're like, I don't get why this is so good. And then you watch the next episode and you're like, I still don't get it. And as soon as you know it, you watch the entire series and you're like, I still don't get it. So then you watch it again, and it's just like tricks your mind because you're confused. Do you like it or do you not like it? You know what I mean?
So I had a similar but different experience. I watched an episode and I was like, opening episode. I missed the first 5 minutes, which isn't too smart. And then I go to an event in Vegas, and I had people telling, Game of Thrones. Like, really? Oh, it seems like it's so in your wheelhouse. And then I had more people say it. I said, fuck it. So one night I went back and watched the first episode, and I actually watched I watched, I think it was 6 episodes that night, went to bed, woke up early, and watched the other 6. So it got me. It got me. Yeah, it got me. I won't talk about the last season or the last episode.
But no, maybe like that's also a trick in the writing too, because I remember Breaking Bad had that same effect on me, where like I didn't like it until maybe the 3rd time I binge watched it. I don't know, but
yeah, I've only seen a few episodes of Breaking Bad and it didn't resonate. And then people said to me, you got to get through the first season. I'm like, well, fuck, that's a lot of episodes. Same thing with Mad Men. I'd watched like one episode. I was like, eh. And then my ex-wife kept saying, you would love Mad Men. I literally ended up watching the entire series in less than a month.
Oh my God. I'm going to watch Mad Men then, because that's the one show that I've never really tried to watch, but everyone tells me I should watch it.
It is, well, first of all, my dad had many incarnations as a businessman, but when I was a real little kid, he was a madman. He was in advertising. I wish my dad was still alive because I have a million questions to ask him because he was fucking everything as well. So, and he had an apartment, but he had a shit. We didn't have money. So I'm wondering, did he just keep the money and spend it on women? I don't know. So that was part of it, because I'm calling up my sisters going, oh my God, this is dad, other than the money part. But yeah, it just, what the brilliance of the series was, it's actually a very feminist series without beating you over the head with it. It really is quite subversive and brilliant at how it's done. And it's just, yeah, I felt, again, I mean, I don't know how many episodes it was, but in less than a month, that's like insane.
Well, JD, where can the folks at home follow and support you before I ask the last question?
Sorry?
Oh, where can the folks follow and support you? Like, do you have a social media or?
Yeah, go to Rikers Prison, and most people are shocked I didn't end up there in a graveyard. So the best way, I'm pissed off at IMDb because it doesn't have one of my stuff on it, and it really does. So the best thing is to go to my website, which is really simple. It's jdshapiro.com.
All right.
And that's eventually, it's still working on, but eventually that will have where I'm doing stand-up and other things that are happening. And just quickly, the next movie it looks like I'm directing, if the idiot writer does a good job on the script, and I am the idiot writer, we'll shoot in August, called Two for the Road. And then I might be performing at San Diego National Lampoon, which was a huge company in the 80s and made all these great comedies, or trying to do a comeback, and they have a comedy club now in San Diego. You should look into this. And they say they want me to be a paid regular, and starting at the end of July to coincide with Comic-Con, because they feel the marketing is good because of my connection with Stan, which I agree. There's a chance, depending on schedule and stuff, that I'll be performing at the San Diego National Lampoon Comedy Club in July. So
I want to do that with you, or I want to go see you.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah, that'd be awesome, man. And then my last question for you, and I don't know if this is true, but I was wondering if maybe you could make some clearer. So I heard that you and Mel Brooks got into a big fight over casting Dave Chappelle, where you wanted Dave Chappelle and he didn't. And in a way, if that's true, you gave Dave his career.
Well, it is true, although I fully believe Dave Chappelle would be Dave Chappelle, whether he had done Men in Tights or not.
But it was his first movie, yeah.
It was. So what happened? Mel and I argued over a lot of things. Some good arguments, some not so good. This was okay. So so we met with a comedian I didn't care for off the bat. I thought he was arrogant, wasn't that funny. I won't say his name, Eddie Griffin. And Eddie Griffin comes to Fox. Yeah. He's nobody at this point. And for me, he's nobody. I mean, this is a guy who hates women, hates whites, hates everyone, hates himself the most. And Eddie, if you're listening, go fuck yourself. So Eddie Griffin comes, and he comes with his bodyguard on the Fox lot. Okay. Yeah. His bodyguard is an ex-NFL Giant, New York Giant, which I'm a fan. We talk a little bit. Anyway, at one point, his bodyguard falls asleep, and I'm like, Eddie, you realize I can reach over here and break your neck in about 2 seconds. He won't wake up. But he was really like, he wasn't funny. And he was arrogant. Yeah. So I think, okay, this is the end of it. Mel's like, I like him. I'm like, what can you possibly like about him? So anyway, we have the second meeting with him, which I think is going to be the death now, because Eddie comes with his writer. Right. Okay. That's, off-putting to say the least. And Eddie's writer is saying, well, Eddie is a black man this, Eddie is a black man that. I said, well, time out. This has nothing to do with black and white. He's the sidekick. We talked to Eddie Murphy about playing Robin Hood. He ain't interested. He's the sidekick. And I thought at the end that would be it. And Mel still wanted him. I'm like, oh, fuck. But so I go to Lindsay Shagg, who's a casting director. I said, I'm going to try and make a move and get rid of this guy and start showing me tapes. So she's looking through tapes because, you get thousands. She's looking. And in the meantime, I lucked out. Eddie's agent at William Morris is asking for more and more money for Eddie. I think we had $50,000 aside. He was new, whatever. And Mel's argument, which was good, was like, well, this is going to introduce him to a white audience. But Lee Stoneman, I think was his name. He was a nice guy, but he kept asking for more money. And that's Mel. Mel's a cheap Jew, and I can say that I was born Jewish. And so it got to a certain point, and I said, Mel, just let me look for other people. All right. So I start looking, and then I found Dave, and to me that was it. It was his stand-up. I think he was 19 at the time. I mean, his stand-up was, he was saying something, and my gut told me this man can act, and he's saying, it was a stand-up. It was just, he was saying so much.
Yeah.
Which is, by the way, why I argued with Mel, we could have had Jim Carrey as the Sheriff of Rottingham. And Mel was like, he's a little screen actor. He had been doing In Living Color. And then luckily for Jim, he went on to do Pet Detective. But we met with Jim over it. And what I really liked about Jim wasn't just his comedy, but he had done a made-for-TV movie. He was absolutely brilliant. But anyway, so I find Dave. So I put together a tape of 5 people. Mel wanted a comedian for the part. Okay, cool. I can go through the list of people we could have had, like Sean Connery for parts and stuff. That's a whole nother story. But anyway, I put together 5. And the way I did it is the first guy was okay. The second guy sucked. Third guy, I forget. Fourth guy was Dave. Fifth guy sucked. So I'm trying to rig it. So I'm watching it there. I believe it was me, Lindsay Shagg, Peter Schindler, maybe, our line producer, and Mel. So watching. I remember one point, Peter laughed at somebody, and Mel he could rip it. You think that's funny? That's not funny. I was like, oh God. Anyway, so we watch it, and Mel's like, I like that guy. Number 3. Oh, shit. Number 3. I don't remember who number 3. I don't remember any of them was. And we go to number 3 and goes, no, the other guy. And we get to Dave. And Mel goes, I like him. I'm like, all right, let me do some exploring and da-da-da-da-da. And we still argued a bit. And then finally, I was able to convince Mel. So, but again, Dave would have been Dave without this, I fully believe. But the first time I meet Dave, I walk onto the set, and Dave comes out to me, and he gives me this big hug. And he's a lot taller than me. And he's like, this big hug. And he goes, I heard you hired me. I said, I didn't hire you. I don't have the power. Mel hired you. He said, bullshit. I heard how hard you fought for me. I don't know who told him, but people knew. And I was like, yeah. And he goes, I feel like I owe you something, like a blowjob. So I'm straight. And I said, yes, because I knew Dave would be famous one time, and I took pictures, and I figured, what the hell? I got pictures of Dave giving me a blowjob, and it's great. I can sell them. No. That's not true. We just fucked.
Yeah, that's probably a better story.
Yeah, he did say it, and we both kind of like laughed. To this day, I wish I had said, yeah, okay, let's see where this goes.
Well,
but JD, he was always sweet. He was such a nice guy. Yeah.
Well, JD, man, it was good talking to you again, and good seeing you. And like I said, I really am very thankful for you and your friendship. You have a very special place in my heart, and I really do appreciate you.
That means more to me than any award or anything I've ever received, that people would go, oh, that's great. No, that means a lot. So, Keith, I really, really appreciate that. Thank you.
All right, JD.
Stay in touch. Come to San Diego. We'll figure it out, and come to Europe.
Yeah, I definitely, even if I don't perform, I'm definitely going to go to San Diego and say hi to you, man. So it'll be fun.
Okay.
Cool. All right, JD. All right. Have a great day, buddy. I love you, and I'll see you when I see you.
Love you too. Thank you very much. Thank you for this. And audience, go see this man perform. It was always a pleasure seeing him in the beginning, and I can't wait to see you again.
All right. Thanks, JD. Have a good day, buddy.
Cheers.
All right. All right, guys, that was an interview with JD Shapiro. Subscribe, rate, review, tell a friend, and we'll see you guys next week on Reza Rifts. Big music cue out.